Ashwell Prince, Proteas batting coach.
Shukri Conrad, head coach, Proteas.
Yeah, Shuks. I think it was a debut for you on the bowling lawns, but it was a good debut. And obviously we had the Vern there with a lot of experience. Skippy was there, but the feeling was good that day, and now the feeling is even better.
Yeah, my bowls wasn't good. I think you and I were on the side together and we got stuffed the other side by Vern and Timber. But yeah, you could sense it then already, actually, right? There was a calmness about it. Even chatting with Vern, I think it almost embedded what we felt and what we wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, the feeling was, like you say, good then. I never ever thought that what we did now was as big as what it actually is. You just think, well, we won a test match. Yes, we won the World Test Championship. Yes, we beat Australia. That's all lekker. And then you come in at the airport and you see the reception here today. And when you allow yourself a moment, then it's like really sinks in like what you've really achieved.
No, absolutely, it's massive. And I think obviously Vern was there on the day on the bowling lawn, coming over to England. We had quite a few of the other legends also on the commentary team. It was great to have Buffy there, Sean, every morning, just reflecting with them, palming them, what do you guys think? And them giving us some encouragement and their thoughts. That was nice as well.
That was brilliant. And there was a genuine backing that you get from them. There was you sense it. Sometimes you can sense what do we call it, a sincere insincerity. But I never ever felt that. I mean, Buffy just checking in every morning how the guy's feeling, coming to the net saying, well, geez, the guys feel like they've got everything under control. There's a nice calmness about them. And then with Polly, just again, sharing insights, guys that have done it on the big stage. And I think what these guys and what we've gone out and done is as much for guys like Graham and Sean who suffered all the heartache. You were part of that group as well. And I think a lot of what we've achieved here, like our team song says, for those before us and then also for those to come.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, I feed off what is happening in the environment already. And I think, a lot of credit's got to go to Shuks. He's been playing it down. I've been listening to his interviews over the last few days. He's been playing his influence on the team down a little bit. I think he's one of the best at reading the room. And I think in international cricket or sport, probably at the highest level in all different types of sports, I think one of the most important things is to be able to keep people calm, relaxed. We obviously understand the magnitude of what we are trying to do. But from my side, I've worked under quite a few people. One other guy that I can remember that was pretty good is Russell Domingo. I worked with him in Bangladesh, and then obviously yourself now in this experience. But as we heard, you must the main poker player, man. You know how to juggle the pieces, man.
I think, you reference poker here. I think that's what it is. You all get dealt hands, and to reference poker, sometimes you got rubbish in your hand, but you must. What do you normally say? You must dala what you must,
yeah,
right? So you must represent that hand as the best. And I think this is what we try to do here as well. Is to, whatever your hand is, you never know how you can bluff someone with that. Go out and represent. And the calmness that we talk of, it's really just allowing the guys to be who they are. I know you've been part of teams that have been great, but to see you also just take on the calmness and then bring the vibes. I mean, we all, that's why I wanted you on board, is because you're a superstar batting coach and the value you're going to add from that front. But the value you add after, during, the calmness that you bring, and then obviously the celebrations that you bring, Guy. I mean, that's next level now. But I think I don't think we've had a longer than 5-minute team meeting. We didn't have any slideshows.
We didn't actually.
Nothing, no PowerPoints.
Make a note of that one.
No PowerPoint presentation. And it doesn't mean that there's a right and a wrong in all of this. It's about reading the room. What do these guys need? They just need to be kept calm. They just need to be given the belief. And that's what you, Pete, Creer, Matty, Ruben, every single body on that staff, everybody brings that.
Actually, just on that point, I'll never forget. This leading up to the test match in Pretoria, after the guys had a long season in white ball cricket and test matches, Bangladesh, white ball series, and before we played the test match at Centurion against Pakistan, you said to the bowlers, I think they didn't get where you were going when you said, how you feel, KJ, how do you feel, Plank, how do you feel? And they weren't sure. And you just said, listen, you've been doing a lot. Just take the next 3 days off. Remember, we're talking about 3 days before the Boxing Day test match, no training. I think most coaches in the world will just tick the box because you have to tick the box. There has to be training, you know. What's the media going to say? What people going to say? These guys didn't bowl, whatever the case. I think Coach Pete was probably more stressed because if the bowlers bowl no balls and all that, they're going to say, oh, he's not doing this. But I think that's what I'm pointing out about reading the room and understanding what people need to come back fresh on the morning of day one of the test match.
And I think spot on. It's reading the room, but the room allows you to read it. And what we've done really well as a group, and the players have actually grown in that, is them take responsibility for their preparation. I can't walk into them, nor do you, and say, I feel you should be doing this, that, and that in preparation. They've started to take on board what they need to do, and we trust them with preparation. Everything we do is about trust. We trust each other as coaches, we trust the players, players start trusting players, and certainly as a coaching staff, we trust each other in terms of how we're going to run things.
Absolutely. Well, I think from a management point of view, it doesn't affect us as much. I think obviously the players who are out in the middle, you know, something that I was really proud of was how the South African contingent was singing our players' names. You know, obviously the main one being the skipper. We know the journey that he's had. He's had a tough journey, and for Lords, for his name to be buzzing through Lords, I mean that was some amazing support. And then the other thing that stood out for me, I don't know if you noticed, but after the game, on the lap of honor, you know, we thought there might be a few South Africans here and a few there in all the corners, but right around the ground there were South African people. And we knew that there was a few coming over, but at the end of the game, like people all around the ground, the support was really amazing.
And I only allowed myself to have a look around and take it all in when we needed 2 runs to get, because I was shitting myself before then. But with 2 runs to get, and I know, I mean, we've had losses in the last few months, and then you tend to get a little bit emotional, but you then take it in and you hear every song that's sung. You see every face in the crowd, and then you're just like, geez, this is now real. And we might not, but I think the players feed off that energy.
Absolutely.
They definitely, yes, we want to cut out the noise, but that noise you couldn't cut out. Why? Because it was driving us. The players were feeding off that energy whenever we were in trouble, and we were in trouble a few times in this test match. The crowd got us going. And the support that was there off the field, walking around. I mean, familiar faces, people that you spend afternoons with in Wynberg and Pippi's, and then you see a mate from Pretoria that you hadn't seen in years. Guys that I coached when I was coaching Gauteng, B-side, the Matty Harrises and all of these guys screaming, Warren Dugmore running down there. It was simply phenomenal, and the best thing I've ever been involved in the cricket match.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think there's a lot of things that to be said about culture, and sometimes if somebody said to me, like you asked the question now, I don't think there was anything deliberate. There certainly wasn't a script for me where I said, right, this is how we're going to create the culture and let's tick it as we go along. I think things happen organically. You allow people to be who they are. You just want to allow things to unfold, and where you can add a little bit of spice to it, you do. But it was always about the team first, and I mentioned it in our little rap, where for me, Pato probably represented the best what this team is about. 2 fifers back to back. Never played at Newlands, never played in the final. and might never play another test match. But if you look at the way the Oak rocks up at practices, helping other guys, you look at the attitude he brings in the change room, that for me is, if I were to reflect, that says to me, I think we've come a long way as a team.
Absolutely. I was walking for a brief period of that victory lap. I was walking with him, and people were calling out his name, recognizing his contribution, and he obviously was emotional at that moment, and he had a tear in his eye as well. And we could reflect on exactly what you just said, you know, that he played his part, a massive part, at getting the team there. And as you say, one of the biggest things that I think you've allowed to happen in the space is for people just to be them. I don't think sometimes people can understand how big that is. When you walk into an environment, you think you have to behave differently because it's high performance. Yes, it is high performance. There are massive expectations, but for players and for people coming into the space to understand that they can achieve those things by just being themselves, and the space will embrace them. And I think that's credit to you and how you, as you say, we didn't put 10 bullet points down on a piece of paper, just let it happen organically.
Zimbabwe on Tuesday, the show must go on. And I think winning the World Test Championship is not the end goal for us. It's almost just the beginning of where we want to go, and what a stepping stone to provide us with that impetus.
Absolutely. I know him and he knows me, and we know that we just want to win. And it really doesn't matter who we play against, you know. And I don't know if I can imagine that a lot of our upbringing has a lot to do with that. But it doesn't matter who we play against. We just believe why can't we challenge you? You know, that's the attitude, and that's what I believe that he's gonna drive going forward.